You're in the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
Let me ask you a question, Chris O'Brien, and maybe it's something I'm missing here. So, when I go onto iTunes, I still see reviews. Oh my God, the Paracast has too many commercials. Now, few people have, with our permission, put up full versions of the free show on YouTube, and they get a pretty decent amount of traffic. And occasionally we see the same thing. Oh my God, it's got too many commercials. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely out of sorts here. Maybe I just don't know what's going on. On every single episode of the Paracast, since last November, we have been mentioning very carefully the Paracast Plus, the way to get the ad-free version of the show. Am I doing something wrong with those announcements?
Well, perhaps somebody is not reading them or listening to them.
Well, I think if they're so upset about the commercials, they are listening to the show, we think, unless they simply scroll to 10 minutes into the first segment and say, oh my God, there are commercials, I'll turn it off now.
I don't know. You just never know, Gene. Who knows how people think?
Wacky people out there.
Yep.
I was reading a thread on our forums about a recent interview with Ray Stanford mentioning a photograph of the Socorro UFO. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it's something that I was asked not to talk about it, and I didn't. But now that he's kind of mentioned it publicly, I guess I can talk about it. He has revisited the Socorro case and has really carefully examined quite a number of photographs that were taken of the site. And, of course, the one photograph of him taking a picture of Alan Hynek taking a picture, behind him, and there's an object apparently in the distance, that got him thinking that perhaps other photographs may have had objects in them. So he found a photograph that, it was more of a snapshot. It was his friend, I think it was Bob McGarry, standing, I think, on top of the dynamite shack that was located a short distance away from the actual landing site. He was facing, I guess, into the southwest and snapped a picture. And when he went back and reviewed it all these years later, he happened to notice three small dots in the sky very close to the horizon at the very edge of the picture. And so he scanned it at a real high DPI rate and then blew it up. And much to his surprise, there are three craft, including two that look just like this Socorro object. One of them that actually has the legs extended down below it. And he's spent quite a bit of time sharpening up the image, working with brightness and contrast. And it's pretty amazing. It does appear to be three objects in fairly close formation, just above the horizon, quite some miles distant. It would be about, at least 20 miles away. When he told me about this, he was kind of embarrassed that he never saw it to begin with, but he was also elated because, the two of those, like I said, two of those objects, they look exactly like Lonnie Zamora described this egg-shaped object. And he was going to not mention it until he came out with a revised version of his Socorro book, adding new information and some other photographs and whatnot. And I guess now the cat's out of the bag, so I can talk about it. It is quite amazing. And, of course, I'm sure there'll be people, the detractors, say, oh, it's just Photoshopped, you put it in there. But Ray's not like that. He doesn't need to do those sorts of things, and he's very down on that, and feels that that's a really negative aspect of the field right now with people attempting to hoax visual evidence. So it's pretty interesting, when you look at it. And the picture was taken, I think, about 9 months after the actual Socorro landing. So what are the odds? So anyway, that's what he was talking about. And I have quite a detailed workup that he provided, his list that shows all the various steps that he took to get to the point where he's really isolated these objects, and it's pretty amazing. The guy just never ceases to amaze me. Some of the things that he can glean out of photographs or films, and I'm still his biggest fan. But I'm just itching for the chance for him to get out there and present this wonderful analytical work and diagnostic propulsive analysis to the scientific community. He does have a member of the European Space Agency. I think it was either today or tomorrow, during the middle of the week here when we're taping. The guy's coming over, I think, or he may have been over yesterday to spend the entire afternoon with him. So I need to get a little kind of a briefing on how that went, and I'll have more to say later on another show.
Perhaps on After the Paracast. Being that we're mentioning After the Paracast, and for those of you who are reviewing the Paracast on iTunes or on YouTube, we aren't worried whether you like the show or not. We hope you like it. It's more about being accurate about it. So we do have another show called After the Paracast. And the way you get it is to join the Paracast Plus. And with the Paracast Plus, the first thing you get is the ad-free version of this show. We take out 41 minutes of network ads. We give you higher quality audio. So Chris sounds better. Me, there's no change, but Chris will always sound better and our guests will always sound better. We give you After the Paracast, which is 25 to 35 minutes of interviews, continuations of a Paracast show, post-game wrap-ups, all sorts of things, and maybe there'll be an update with regard to Chris's discussions with Ray Stanford that we'll present on this week's episode. We can't predict that because there's no predicting what direction After the Paracast is going to take. And it's very easy to get the show. You just join the Paracast Plus. Go to plus.theparacast.com, plus.theparacast.com. Simple sign-up instructions. It involves joining our forums, and then you upgrade your membership. So you get a custom forum and access to the Paracast ad-free version After the Paracast. We've got more stuff coming. Still working on it. And we're also, if you subscribe to a year or more, you get a copy of the ebook version of Chris O'Brien's Stalking the Tricksters. And this, by the way, is a straight PDF file. So it's not something that you require a Kindle for or any special device. Anything, Mac, PC, Linux, Android, Windows, iPhone, you could look at the file and read it. And Chris is going to withdraw that offer soon, so take advantage of it. Now, today we have a guest who I thought until I read the bio was very much involved in traditional ufology. Her name is Margie Kay, and she's associated with the Missouri branch of MUFON, and she also has a radio show which she calls UNX News. And she's got a rather involved background where she's covering cryptozoology. She claims to do remote viewing. There's a lot of stuff there. And a fair amount of this, to be blunt, is a little out of our normal comfort zone with the Paracast, for better or worse, okay? A little beyond it. For example, her bio says that she has also done some kind of psychic forensic investigation and says she has been instrumental in solving over 50 missing persons, homicide, and thefts using her unique remote viewing abilities, which she has honed over the years with amazing results. Now, we're getting here basically someone who's a psychic. And we have some hard questions about that because, again, this is not someone we've normally had on this show. But we're going to be fair to her. She seems like a nice woman, but we're not going to be shy about asking a few key questions here, plus a few questions and concerns on the part of our listeners. So she's due up next. Again, Margie Kay, UFO psychic investigator, works with MUFON. We're going to talk about a certain MUFON guest who's due in a future session of their public meetings of a strange nature. We'll let you know what that is. Gene and Chris, you're in
The Paracast.
So here's what happened. I was placing an order online. The site went down. It took hours before it returned, but I'd already placed the order with another company. If your site goes down, you could lose business. And if you have a business or personal site, you'll want to know it's easy to run and it will stay online. At iWeb, your site is hosted on one of the most reliable networks in the world. Talk to a sales rep at iWeb.com. Use the promo code TechNightOwl for a special discount.
First came Attack of the Rockoids, and it was a critically acclaimed success. And now there's The Coming of the Protectors. A former military intelligence man is contacted by a space woman in a dream that turns out to be a nightmare because evil forces on her distant planet are planning to conquer the Earth. This is gripping science fiction of the classic kind. Attack of the Rockoids and The Coming of the Protectors. Find out more at rockoids.com. That's Rockoids, ROCKOIDS.com.
Hi, Peter Vaccaro for ParanormalDate.com. Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? Now you have a chance to change that by signing up for free at ParanormalDate.com. This incredible dating site puts people of like minds together. People who are interested in the strange, the unusual, mysteries, ghosts, UFOs, and the afterlife, and so much more. ParanormalDate.com was developed for you, people seeking a viable alternative to the other dating services. You can join for free by going to ParanormalDate.com, and if you decide you like it and want to connect with people, use the code GEORGE for a substantial discount. Mark Rawlings, president of ParanormalDate.com, says so many people hunger to share their experiences about the paranormal, the unexplainable, or the afterlife, and so much more, and this is the source for them to meet and share that common interest. So sign up for free at ParanormalDate.com, ParanormalDate.com, and use the code GEORGE if you decide to connect with someone you like.
It's time to build your own emergency food stockpile with the industry leader, My Patriot Supply. Once you try them, you'll know why so many Americans like you have made them part of their emergency preparedness plan. Experience the My Patriot Supply difference today with this unbelievable offer. Right now, a 4-week food supply is only $99, and that includes free shipping. That's 50% off the online price. Call 800-274-3070 to claim yours. Limit 2 per caller while supplies last. This offer isn't available online, so you want to make sure and grab this opportunity to get prepared today. 800-274-3070 to get your 4-week food supply for the incredible price of only $99, and it'll be shipped to you completely free. Call 800-274-3070 right now. That's 800-274-3070 to claim yours while supplies last. Don't wait. Call today.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
We'd like to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com.
With Gene and Chris, we welcome Margie Kay to the Paracast. As I mentioned, Margie is an assistant state director for the Missouri MUFON and also has her own UNX news magazine radio show, does remote viewing, does forensic work with police departments. There's 1,000 things to discuss there. But the first, Margie, and welcome to the show, is how you got interested in anything about the paranormal. Did you have an early experience of some sort?
Oh, sure. I was very, very young, about 2.5 years old, when I started seeing little lights coming into the window, auras and energy fields around trees, things like that. And then by the time I was about 6, I was seeing dead people. So I was introduced to it at a young age.
Wait a minute, dead people. That comes across like the movie Sixth Sense. Was it like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't figure out until I was about 11 years old that I was actually seeing and speaking to ghosts or people who had passed over, because I had a very rude awakening when I was 11. Went to bed one night, and all of a sudden there was this glowing white head at the foot of my bed, and it was speaking. I couldn't hear anything, but I could see it, and I described it to my father, and he went and got his photo album out, and he says, "Does this look like what you saw?" And I said, "Yes, that's him right there." And it turned out to be my grandfather, who had died several years earlier and before I was born.
So you never met this person, and you say he was trying to speak to you, so his lips were moving, but no sound came out.
Right. I couldn't hear any sound at that time. I was not clairaudient at that time. I was clairvoyant, clairsentient, so I could sense things and see things, but I couldn't hear things until I was, in my 20s, probably around 22, 23, something like that.
So therefore, if this happened when you were 22, you might have actually heard this person speaking.
Right, and I did. I mean, he did speak to me later, and he still does.
You hear him speaking, but does he hear you if you talk back?
Yes, absolutely. And I can ask questions. We can have a conversation, just like you and I are right now.
Okay.
And I can do that with almost anybody who's crossed over. I actually started out in my 20s helping other people speak to dead people a lot more than speaking to my own relatives.
Okay, so this is something only involving your own relatives up till then, until you started talking to people about how they could do it?
Well, people would ask me for help. Then I joined an organization. It was a psychic organization, and as soon as I had figured out what was going on, my mother bought me some Edgar Cayce books because they didn't know what to do with me. And she got me started going to the library and studying this so I could figure out, why I knew things in advance, or why I knew when something was happening hundreds of miles away at the same time. And they weren't worried about it, but they didn't know how to help me understand it. So in getting these books, and I realized what was going on, and I had a sixth sense, and I started utilizing it and helping other people speak to their loved ones who passed on. It's called doing readings, when you're doing that type of thing. And I did, probably over 3,000 readings in the last 30 plus years for other people, mostly speaking to people who've crossed over or their spirit guides.
Well, you'd fit in great up here in Sedona.
Oh yeah, Sedona is a very, very new age community, and with a lot of open minds out there.
Yeah, that's true. But for every one person with talent, there's 10 wannabes, So you kind of have to be careful, be discriminating.
That's true. That's true anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever had any contact with academics, scientists who are interested in these abilities and maybe have performed some sort of test or something with you? Because it sounds pretty obviously what you're claiming is not your normal, abilities.
Right. And yes, I have. I had a study done on me when I was 15 by the high school science instructor. He introduced ESP to the class one day, and he did some tests, and I scored off the charts. And so he decided to do some more testing on me, and then he took it upon himself to create this study group where each of the class members got to work with me, and one would sit with me in a closed room while another one would be outside the room, and he would, we would do the renter cards and colors and numbers and all that sort of thing. And then they started getting more difficult, and they would place a student somewhere in the building, and I had to find them. So that was my first introduction to remote viewing.
This particular study, is it anything that's been documented?
No. This was a high school study. Now, I would love to get into a program and get some real documentation and testing done. But the opportunity hasn't presented itself. I think I'm going to have to seek that out myself. And I'm so busy that, I just don't think about doing that. But yeah, I would welcome an official scientific study.
Now, is this your day job, or do you have some other gig?
Oh no, I own a construction company that specializes in chimney restoration, and I have a company that instructs professionals in the business. So I teach other companies how to do their job with chimneys and fireplaces. And then I also own a forensic investigation company. We do fire investigations of structural fires. And I write up all of those reports and all of, fire investigation reports and estimates, all that. That's my day job.
Now, when it comes to fires, just quickly, you will also look for evidence of arson, right?
Yes, except we don't specialize in arson. We take the classes on it, but we specialize in structural fires that have been caused by heating appliances and chimneys.
Yeah, let me ask you, Margie, here. What do your customers think of the psychic and UFO stuff you're doing?
Well, I keep the two separate. I don't use my real name when I'm doing the psychic work. So
you're not Margie Kay?
No, no. My real name is Marge Paget. And I don't mind telling this group that because it doesn't matter. But I keep Margie Kay separate from my chimney business, although some people have found out. It turns out they're very interested in it, and they started coming to meetings and events that I have. So it turned out all right. But, there's a certain element out there that would, puts a person like me in the woo-woo factor. And
especially in that part of the country out there, it's fairly conservative out there, I would imagine.
Pretty conservative. I think people have become a lot more open-minded recently, mainly due to TV and radio and shows.
Well,
like
not to mention all the activity that Missouri's just ebbing and flowing out there. It seems that there's always something going on there. That's, I think, one of the most active states, definitely the most active state in the Midwest, one of the top 3 or 4 in the whole country.
Let's do our break here. We have Margie Kay with Gene and Chris. You're in
The Paracast.
Free from the shackles of corporate America, we're the place for independent thinkers. GCN.
Healthy, organic, fresh fish, robust, mouth-watering vegetables, all from your home. It's called aquaponics. This brilliant, self-sustaining protein and veggie system is perfect for year-round growing. Know exactly where your food is coming from. Aquaponicssource.com is the one-stop shop for all your needs. Fish food, plumbing, full systems, classes, and more. Learn to build your own system. Go to aquaponicssource.com for a free guide to aquaponics. That's aquaponicssource.com.
It's a terrifying thought. You're trapped somewhere without a radio and no access to GCN shows. A doctor's office, the DMV, your mother-in-law's.
Come on, stay for dinner.
That's what makes the newly redesigned GCN Live app a true lifesaver. Listen to your favorite GCN hosts and programming on your smartphone, wherever you are. Download yours free on iTunes or Google Play. The new GCN Live app. Don't leave home without it.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey neighbor, what are you doing digging? You had a heart attack last year.
Oh, I know. I was told no more hard labor.
Then why are you digging?
Well, I've been taking Extendovite. It's been approved to help my heart.
Extendovite? Is that a new drug?
No, not a drug. It's more like an herbal combination made from garlic and cayenne.
Herbal? How can that help?
Well, actually, we've taken herbs for thousands of years, and Extendovite is doing the job for me.
Does your doctor know about Extendovite?
Yeah, my doctor knows, and he said it seems to be working for you, so don't stop taking it. I feel great taking Extendovite. I don't want to stop.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hi, my name is DeRay, suffering from migraines, having Botox injections in my head and neck to alleviate pain, costing $1,500 out of my pocket. I discovered Dr. Ortman and Gentle Touch chiropractic adjustment called Nuka. I'm migraine-free since my first adjustment. Thanks for giving me my life back, Dr. Ortman. I wish they prescribed you instead of Botox.
Thanks, DeRay. Putting the bones back in place is only half of the solution. We design a nutritional supplement program the body can handle, actually absorb, providing nutrients, targeting the problem area. Between Nuka and nutrition, we will have you on the road to a faster and more permanent recovery. Look us up on the web at drortman.com or call 952-303-9124. Let us help you feel better faster. Wellspring Spinal Care at 952-303-9124. Again, that's 952-303-9124. Or on the web at drortman.com.
In recent years, we have witnessed the most catastrophic disasters in history. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, and more. Legacy Premium Food Storage will prepare you. Our great-tasting non-GMO quality food products have a 25-year shelf life, are the most affordable on the market, and are American-made. They're perfect for hiking, camping, and road trips, too. Be prepared with the best. Go to survivalfoodalliance.com. That's survivalfoodalliance.com.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without a Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
Hi, this is Don Ecker, and you are tuned into the Paracast. Let me tell you what, you're going to hear stuff here that you probably won't hear anywhere else. Hear that, George Snorri?
So we have a psychic. I think for one of the few times we've had such a person on the Paracast.
Margie's also a crack field investigator for UFOs, for cattle mutilations. She's kind of a Renaissance lady.
You do a little bit of everything. But let me ask you then, let's focus a little bit more on the psychic material and then go on to your UFO investigations and everything else, Margie. And that is, to the person who says, when you're talking to these dead people, they say, all right, you're talking to somebody. How do you know that person is really your grandfather, some other relative? Not pulling the blinders on there.
Yeah, I do a test. I ask the person who has crossed over. Well, first of all, my method is to ask the person's name. So by hearing the vibration of that person's name, I can tune into them. And if I still have a little trouble, I'll say, where are they from? And that'll help me. And I usually don't need anything else. So then I ask, when I've contacted that person who's crossed over, I will ask them to tell me something that only they know and the person I'm speaking to knows. And they will give me something. It will be a color of an eyeshadow they wore, or a favorite type of a vehicle, or, something that they used to do that there's no way I could know about. And then I know I've contacted that person, and whoever the client is will know that we're in contact.
Okay, so you will accept then a client. Someone comes to visit you, and so, for example, I say to you, Margie, I would like to contact my late brother. And maybe or maybe not, you could contact him?
Yes, except that I don't do that type of work anymore. I only use my psychic abilities now to teach other people how to do it, and also for missing person and unsolved homicides for law enforcement. And that's where I spend my time. Doing the psychic readings is kind of more of an entertainment type of thing, and to me, it's kind of a waste of time.
So if I asked you, for example, Margie, would you do a reading for me, you probably wouldn't want to bother.
Probably not, unless you had something important. Unless you had, let's say, a loved one passed over and they were supposed to leave you something and you couldn't find it, or you lost something that was very, very important. Then I'll help you out. But if you just want it for entertainment purposes, no, I wouldn't. Now, I'd do it on the show for you. If you wanted to do something like that, that's fine.
My brother died about 20 years ago, and there is an unresolved issue, which I will not mention what that is, obviously. And if you wanted to try to contact him and resolve this issue, it would certainly be helpful. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I will just need to hear you say his name.
Well, I will say his name, but remember also you can go on Google and find out lots about him. His name was Wallace Herbert Steinberg.
Okay. And where did he live last?
Last he lived was Rumson, New Jersey.
Rumson, R-U-M-S-O-N?
I will have to look at that. Rumson, New Jersey.
Okay. Let me see what I can get.
Right. A small town, upscale town in Monmouth County, New Jersey. Now, I'm not going to prejudge anything here or anything that Margie is about to say, but if you look at Rumson, New Jersey, some famous people lived there, used to live there, maybe not now, but you can look that up.
Okay. Just to see if this is the right man, is he tall? Was he tall?
Yes.
And,
that's nothing you can't find out, but go ahead.
Well, I'm not looking on the internet. You can hear my keyboard right now. I'm not looking on the internet. I'm closing my eyes when I do these readings.
Go ahead.
And looking.
Go ahead.
So his hair would have been kind of long, but down to the ears and down to the nape of the neck, and a little kind of full hair on the sides, especially. So I'm asking you that to make sure I have the right man.
No, not quite.
Okay, no. Okay.
Let's just say you had it half right there, folks. Now, we didn't plan this, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to have Margie put to the test. But having raised the issue of something unresolved involving me and my brother, let's see what happens. Go on, please.
Okay. Sometimes it takes me a few minutes to tune in, but we'll try here.
All right. What we're doing here as she proceeds is we're trying to see if she can learn something or get in touch with the late Wallace H. Steinberg. My brother, whom I've mentioned on the show from time to time.
I see him around a vehicle, and it looks like a vintage type car with rounded edges on it, kind of like an Austin Healey or Carmen Gia, something like that. And I see him reaching in and touching the gear shift.
Vintage, not particularly, no.
Sports car, it feels like a fast car and very important to him.
He was not heavily into cars. I mean, he had some interesting cars over his lifetime, but no.
Okay, now I see a woman involved. It feels like his wife, and the issue has something to do with her not telling people about something. So I'll tell you what, let me just let this kind of percolate a little bit in my brain, and we'll see if we get anything during the rest of our conversation, and I'll let you know.
Fair enough. Okay.
Anything.
Yeah, let's see if she learns more. Because so far, nothing's really hitting there except the fact that he was relatively tall, and that's about it. The rest doesn't really hit directly.
I see him bending over to get into a car.
Well, all right.
Like a long distance compared to me.
No, I hear what you're saying. All right, so we're just trying something here, and whether or not Margie comes up with more information, we'll know. Now, obviously, they have the skeptical viewpoint here, is that when you say you're doing this, either you're putting something over on somebody, you're imagining it, you're doing a cold reading, which would be you could make a good guess out of something about somebody. How do you respond to that?
Well, here's the thing. If the more emotion that there is around something, the better and then the more accurate I am. So if there has been a murder, say, there's a lot of emotion around that. There was a lot of fear around that for the victim. I will get extreme details. I'll get names, how the murder happened, where it happened, the circumstances around. All of that stuff will come through. Now, on something that's less important, I won't get as much detail. Now, I don't know why that works. It's just the way it is. And I've done so many. Out of 53 cases I've worked for missing persons and homicides and large theft cases, I've helped to solve 50 out of 53. So that's how accurate I am with things that are very, very important.
Now, this is something documented. I could look this up.
It's documented. However, it's through law enforcement at different levels, and that's not something that is made public. And in fact, I insist whenever I do work with law enforcement that they never use my name, because I don't want the criminals coming after me. They just kind of through word of mouth know who I am and contact me.
Okay, so I can't look independently, Margie, to confirm you've really done this.
No, you can't.
Okay, just trying to verify that. All right, we've got a lot more to talk about, and we're going to segue over to her UFO research and her cryptozoological research in a moment. With Gene and Chris, you're in
the Paracast. A little right, a little left, but always independent-minded. The Genesis Communications Network, GCN.
Conspiracy Journal is your #1 source for the hidden world of the weird and strange. We bring you thought-provoking and controversial material for free-thinking individuals who are seeking what is really going on in our world today. Some of this material may adversely affect you. Other pieces are meant to enlighten. Either way, be prepared to be intrigued by such things as the reality of UFOs, ghosts, strange creatures from time and space, hidden conspiracies, time travel, Nikola Tesla, suppressed technology, and a whole lot more. You can find out more by visiting our website at conspiracyjournal.com. There you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter sent directly to your email address. Find out what they don't want you to know.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MyTV. 1-855-905-MyTV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MyTV. 1-855-905-MyTV.
Hi, this is Steve Spillum for Midas Resources. In 1971, President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard and put us into a fiat currency. This allowed Congress and the Federal Reserve to create trillions of dollars out of thin air. The national debt has risen to incredible heights, and your hard-earned dollars buy a small fraction of what they once did. The average life expectancy for a fiat currency is 27 years. The dollar is failing and on borrowed time. When currencies fall, people turn to gold and silver because gold and silver have been real money for more than 5,000 years. It is our mission at Midas Resources to help you preserve your capital. Don't let your personal savings shrink to nothing. For important free information on how you can protect your personal wealth, contact me, Steve Spillum, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 308. Call today while we are still accepting dollars for gold and silver. 1-800-686-2237, extension 308. Make a change in your financial security today. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 308.
Hi, it's Grant Cameron from presidentialufo.com. You're listening to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio.
We returned with Margie Kay, and to let our listeners know what's going on here in the Paracast, because this is kind of unusual. We haven't talked to people who are psychics that much on the show. And of course, Margie Kay is also involved in UFO and cryptozoological research. But I asked that she try to connect with my late brother Wally. And we haven't had any results then. We'll see if she does achieve any results as we progress. But let us continue here. So you say that you've worked with law enforcement authorities, Margie, but that information I can't look up because it's done on a confidential basis.
That's right.
And the reason being, of course, is you don't want the criminal or their fellow travelers to go after you if you successfully point the right person.
Exactly. And there have been some major cases with, shall we say, well-known crime families involved, and I do not want them to know who I am. So
all right.
The best way to do it is keep it quiet.
So for somebody who doesn't believe it, how do you convince them?
I don't care if they don't believe it. You know, that doesn't bother me at all. There are always people that are not going to believe that sort of thing is possible, that I live with it every day. So does my whole family and all of my employees and everybody that I'm involved with, you know, as far as all the groups I'm in, they know. And a lot of them call me for help. So, you know, there's always skeptics. And some people are so skeptical that they can't open their mind to new possibilities. And that's just the way their mindset is. I can't change that.
So how do we research things like this? How do we prove scientifically this goes on?
Well, there are, you know, the Monroe Institute. There are places that research this sort of thing. You can get a degree in parapsychology in California. You know, this sort of thing exists. It's real, just like ghosts are real and ETs are real. It's just a matter of your own experience. If a person doesn't experience himself, it's hard to believe it. There have been a lot of things that I've had trouble believing. For instance, I didn't believe in astrology until I had a very, very good astrologer tell me some things that were very, very accurate, and she continues to be accurate. So I think if you get the right person, as far as something like that's concerned, it may work. Look at, you know, Ronald Reagan, Nancy Reagan depended on an astrologer and psychics, and they must have had some accuracy or they wouldn't have kept going to them.
It didn't help with Iran-Contra, did it?
No.
It doesn't mean you have to listen to the advice or whether you will listen to the advice.
Well, right. You know, Kennedy was warned by a psychic not to go to Texas. she knew something was going to happen. He didn't listen. So, I've had people call me before they get on a plane, and I've told them to get another flight, and then there was trouble with the engine on that flight they were going to be on. Just weird stuff like that. It also comes in
let
handy.
me know, by the way, Margie, if you hear anything or get any insights about my brother. Fair enough?
Oh, I will.
Okay.
I will. He has to want to talk, too. That's the thing. He's got to want to tell me something. So he's got to trust me. And we're just kind of having a side conversation while you and I are talking. And he's letting me know that there's an issue with a woman involved in keeping things from other family members. So I'm trying to see who that is.
Boy, that redefines multitasking.
Oh, well, when you have ADD, it's easy to do.
Let's move into the UFO realm here, Margie. Okay. Now, before we define ETs or indicate whether ETs are involved, what got you interested in UFOs?
I have been involved with UFOs since a very, very young age, probably less than 12 months old. I didn't realize it, though, until I was much older. About 1985, I was in Seattle, Washington, and I took my brother and my two kids out to watch the meteor shower in August. And while we were lying there on the top of the car looking up, we saw what we thought were satellites. And we saw one, and then it just stopped. And then another one came along the same path, right over our heads, 90 degrees. And then it stopped at the same location, looked like it joined with the first one. And then four more came. And when the fifth one got there, it joined with the other four and then instantly shot off at a 90-degree angle at a speed I could not imagine. We all saw that and just got up and got in the car and left, not saying a word, because we all knew we were looking at something that was not of this earth. So that was my first confirmation in my mind that we were looking at something otherworldly.
Okay, so you feel it's otherworldly because it does things you don't expect something on this planet to be capable of doing.
Right. Now, since then, when I got very involved in this subject, I found that, in fact, we, meaning our military, does have some craft that can do incredible things and could be mistaken for something off planet. But that was the first time I was awakened to that possibility. So
well, that's one thing we've discussed on the Paracast from time to time, Margie, which is whether or not the military has test aircraft that may, from time to time, be mistaken for a possible UFO. So you see that happening a lot?
I do. I suspect, of course, I have no proof, but I suspect that is what is happening. For instance, I have a case where one of the witnesses saw a craft that was very close to her, and in the windows were men in military uniforms. They were humans. They were not ETs. And they were looking at her and operating devices inside the craft. So this is a triangular, typical black triangle craft with 3 lights on the bottom and 1 red light in the center. So, anybody could interpret that as being something off planet, but I believe that the black triangles are probably ours.
Yeah, you and David Marler, he, of course, wrote the book Black Triangles, and I think he's convinced that at least a portion of these sighting reports are actually some sort of exotic, earthbound craft or earth technology at work and play, our tax dollars, put it that way. But
exactly.
Not all of them. There are some that appear to be high strange, that can do maneuvers that defy, I guess what would be considered conventional flight, that are non-ballistic in nature. They can make right-angle turns, hover, go very fast, that sort of thing. So there are some that may be something else, but definitely I absolutely agree with you about at least a portion of those sightings. Right,
and whether those have been reverse engineered from extraterrestrial craft is is another question, but I think that's probably highly likely as well.
The question I've been meaning to ask, and I just can't wait to hear your response on this, is recently we were given notice that the location for Ted Phillips' ongoing Marley Woods project has been outed by some folks there. I think you were involved in that decision. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not.
You're not? Okay. Well, it's
don't know anything about this.
Other Missouri investigators did a post and put precise directions on how to get to the site. I was wondering if you had any further, information about that decision or not.
No, that's unfortunate. I will now have to look into that and see who's responsible and why. But in ufology, there unfortunately are a lot of people who just enjoy controversy, and they want to cause problems for other people. And what their reasoning is behind it, one can only guess. But there are some pretty nasty people out there who have attempted to do bad things to people, and it's unfortunate because Ted has worked on that case for many, many years, and other people, his team has. Debbie Ziegelmeyer has been out there. She's our state director for Missouri MUFON, and of course her brother, Chuck Zukowski. And Ted only invited a few people out, for a reason, and that's to protect the people who live there. And we're talking about their private property.
Margie, let's do our break, and then we'll go into more of this Marley Woods and the revelation of its location. UFO investigator, cryptozoologist, psychic Margie Kay with Gene and Chris. You're in
the Paracast. Independently leading the way for the nation. Compelling talk for every political persuasion. We are GCN.
Ray Perkins, a reclusive veteran burned out from the Gulf War, lives tortured by relentless, perplexing nightmares. Nightmares of a horrific battle in deep space and of a mysterious woman suffering in agony for her devastated world. A woman not yet born, calling across centuries to him. Then, a coincidence leads him to his destiny, his chance to alter the universe. Attack of the Rockoids. The former fiction editor for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Robert Simpson, writes, "The soul of the novel Attack of the Rockoids lies in its heart and passion for building a convincing tale of a love that spans the galaxy. A thrilling story. Attack of the Rockoids is available now. Read a sample chapter and get a special discount off of the cover price at our website, rockoids.com. That's ROCKOIDS.com. Attack of the Rockoids, a novel in the grand science fiction tradition.
Did you know that drinking pure, high alkaline water is one of the most important factors in maintaining high energy and vibrant health? Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops, available only at alkavision.com, combine a unique formula of only the most alkaline minerals. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops alkalize your water, ridding the body of harmful toxins, and helps you regain health and energy. Alkalizing your water by simply adding 10 drops of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops helps the body rid itself of acidic waste, increases oxygen content, and raises the pH of your body to healthy levels. And bacteria and viruses cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops for only $29.95 at alkavision.com. That's ALKAvision.com. Or call 269-409-1776. 269-409-1776. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com today.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
Before we go on, I want to remind you, in case some people have missed the memo, we do have a second radio show called After the Paracast, and it comes as part of a package called the Paracast Plus, where you get the ad-free version of this show with higher quality audio. After the Paracast, more features to come. Find out more at plus.theparacast.com, plus.theparacast.com. If you subscribe for 1 year or more, you get a copy of the ebook version of Chris O'Brien's famous book, Stalking the Tricksters, and it's in a PDF format so you can see it on any device. You don't have to have a Kindle or anything. Plus.theparacast.com. Margie Kay, we were talking in our last segment briefly about Marley Woods and your involvement in that. So you're saying here that obviously Ted Phillips didn't want this disclosure and you people didn't want this disclosure. So how did it come?
Well, I don't know. I don't know who's responsible. That's something I'm going to have to look into. I don't think it's through Missouri MUFON. I can't imagine that. It has to be another group.
I'm going to find this post and go ahead and forward it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I think that'll help.
It's like nobody that I know would do that. It's private property. The owners have enough problems out there. They've all had, Bigfoot. They've had unseen things that they walk into. There's possibly portals out there. And, of course, these strange lights, which are really all along that area, which include not only the Marley Woods, which is in southeast Missouri, but if you follow 39 degrees latitude and go to the left or to the west, you'll see the Joplin Neosho area where we have the famous Joplin spook light that's been there for over 200 years, documented, and that's very similar. And the Joplin spook light is not just one light; it's multiple lights that can appear. I've seen it myself, and it's very strange. So, and then if you just keep following over, all along that line, we kind of call that a paranormal highway of sorts. There, the Piedmont UFO flap in the 1970s, which is still ongoing, that a lot of people don't realize. They just basically stopped making reports because they didn't want people to make fun of them. And just all along there on 39 degrees and also 38 degrees and 39, we also have most of our paranormal things, Bigfoot, cattle mutilations, UFOs. It just seems to follow those lines of latitude.
So when do you think we're going to hear more information now about Marley Woods now that this thing has been outed? I mean, that's a genie you can't put back in the bottle.
Well, no, and I'm sure that's going to cause problems because the homeowners want their privacy. And the only reason that they let anyone come out there in the first place is if they promised they would not let anyone know where it is. And it's not just one spot. It's multiple sites. It's in a general area where this happens. So now I'm sure they're going to be inundated with people and trespassers, and it's just going to be a major problem.
Kind of be like Skinwalker Ranch then.
Well, I don't know. I hope it doesn't turn out that way. It's kind of a remote area, but, there are diehards who will go out.
Yeah, that's true. Who's involved with the Missouri Investigators Group?
Well, as far as I know, Barb Becker heads that up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she's the one. It's on their website, ufomig.yolsasite.com. And it's titled Where in the World is Marley Woods? And then there's a complete, there's maps and instructions on how to get there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Nick, it's been out for a while. This came out a couple months ago, I think.
No, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, Barb, she's the one that has the Facebook site, correct? I think it's...
I don't follow them, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's well, Ted, he really has been kind of dragging his feet on it. I realize that his health has been an issue on and off over the years. And of course, as you mentioned, oftentimes people who you have a long-term commitment to in terms of investigation, they do oftentimes want their privacy protected and some senses of anonymity. But it just, I think the case the case, because of its notoriety, I think has attracted a lot of attention out there. And it was inevitable that somebody would do this because Ted really hasn't been as active out there. I mean, the case has been ongoing for how long now? Almost 20 years.
I'd say 30 years.
Yeah. So,
and the lights, they know the lights have been documented over 200 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. That's enough to whet people's appetite. Now, of course, the proverbial cat is out of Schrodinger's box. So might get a little interesting out there before it calms down.
Chris, do we have a couple of questions from our audience you want to drop in here before we go on?
Yeah, I could.
Let me explain to our listeners here and to Margie that before we schedule an episode, before we do the recording session, we give our listeners a chance to ask questions. And they go to forum.theparacast.com. To our forums, we have a place there called the Question Bank, and we open a topic or thread about the guest. So we've gotten a few questions. One we're going to hold over to a little bit later since it relates to the Missouri MUFON. But right now, Chris, you have a couple of questions?
Well, this is a good one from Ravensfee, who's been a poster at forum.theparacast.com since the end of May 2014. And Margie, you brought her out of the woodwork. She doesn't post very much, but she has a question for you. And this is a good kind of a general question to get you thinking on this. And she's wondering if the paranormal, UFOs, ESP, remote viewing could all be aspects of the same one phenomenon. If so, what is its underlying basis? And if not, why do we often see an overlap in these subjects in witnesses' reports and whatnot?
Well, I do have an opinion about that. And as I have worked through all of these things, all of these different things, all these years, I have found some things in common. And so I'm leaning more and more towards the thinking that a lot of people are, and that is we are dealing with the same sorts of things. And I believe what it is that there are other dimensions. And so we're dealing with our third dimension and then fourth dimension time, and the next one up is fifth dimension. Well, that is where I see spirits. And I also see extraterrestrials coming through the fifth dimension from the sixth down to ours, down to our third and fourth dimension.
All right, now we're kind of going ahead of ourselves here. You're talking about a fifth dimension and a sixth dimension. What are they, and how do you know they're coming down from them?
Well, it's a matter of vibration. And this is what I see. When I go into a light trance state, then that's when I can contact the other realms. Well, the first realm is fifth dimension. That's closest to us, and that is where spirits are. Okay? But
how do we know that? Margie, please, how do we know that spirits are in the fifth dimension?
Because that's what they've told me. This is, of course, my opinion based on what the spirits have told me and what I have experienced myself. It's like a crossing over. It's like when it's a matter of vibration. So we have a certain vibration at third dimension and then a higher vibration at fourth and fifth dimension. Okay? I vibrate at a higher rate than, say, the general population does. There are a lot of people like me, but we vibrate at a higher rate. So that's why we're able to see and speak to people who have crossed over and extraterrestrials.
Now, at the risk of being flippant, when I hear fifth dimension, I don't think of the vocal group. I think of the character in the Superman comics who says his name backwards and then returns to the fifth dimension. Let's go on with that in a moment. We have to do our break here. Margie Kay. With Gene and with Chris, you're in
The Paracast.
Do you need a website? Well, you can get a great deal on hosting services with Namecheap's legendary coupon code. They're offering substantial hosting discounts on shared hosting, business hosting, VPS hosting, reseller hosting, and even dedicated servers. Namecheap is preferred by millions. It's backed by a money-back guarantee. Use the coupon code legendary to cash in on the special deal at Namecheap.com, Namecheap.com.
First came Attack of the Rockoids, and it was a critically acclaimed success. And now there's The Coming of the Protectors. A former military intelligence man is contacted by a space woman in a dream that turns out to be a nightmare because evil forces on her distant planet are planning to conquer the Earth. This is gripping science fiction of the classic kind. Attack of the Rockoids and The Coming of the Protectors. Find out more at rockoids.com. That's Rockoids, ROCKOIDS.com.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market. The gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Thousands of people seeking home security get ripped off every day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that's your only option. They've got hordes of salesmen out there trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing huge checks month after month with no way out. It's robbery by contract, and it can cost you thousands. But there's a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get award-winning 24/7 protection. Security professionals watching over your home, ready to instantly send police to the rescue for just $14.99 per month. That's less than half what most companies charge. Protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafedefense.com today for an exclusive 10% offer and get a free keychain remote worth $25. Only when you go to simplysafedefense.com. simplysafedefense.com.
We'd like to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com.
Okay, so let's put this together here. Fifth dimensions for psychics, sixth dimension, etc. Can you explain to me, I'm still not sure about this, Margie, how we know there's a fifth dimension and how do we know this fifth dimension encompasses these abilities? Or are you just basically assuming?
Well, I don't think I'm assuming because I experience it myself.
Right, but having an experience doesn't give you the cause, does it?
Well, scientists say they think there's at least 10 or 12 dimensions. Einstein said there were probably 12 dimensions. And now they're thinking it could be infinite number of dimensions. But what that means is it's like it's the same space, but it's at a higher vibration. So you could have an extraterrestrial standing right next to you and not know it, but he can see you because the higher dimensions see everything from their dimension on down. this gets very, very complicated, and it's certainly not something, that we can go into very, very deeply on a radio show. But just, in summary, that's my experience.
Okay, so the long and short of it is, without going into detail, that we're not dismissing the possibility of multiple dimensions, but this is your assumption, your belief.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. Just want to get into it. Okay.
I can't state a fact because I don't know that it's a fact. It's just my experience.
Okay. Now, with regard to the origin of UFOs, and we've discussed before the possibility that some UFOs are test aircraft. Obviously, we know that most sightings are conventional in one respect or another. There's that residual, that 5 or 10% of sightings that are unknown. How do we know it's ET out there?
Well, we don't. Because once you start thinking about what it could possibly be, could it be something from off planet, from another solar system? Could be. What about another dimension? And what about they are living among us? They look human. They're part human. They are humans. They're just from somewhere else and living among us. All of those things are possibilities, and I don't think anybody has definitive proof of any of that. Now, with the exception of some of the artifacts that have been found that appear to be off-planet, and with scientific testing know that some of these materials are not from here.
We talking about meteorites or what?
No, I'm talking about pieces of UFOs that have fallen off, say like the Bob White object. And it was tested. He saw this UFO land. It was in distress, and some pieces of it were melting and falling on the ground. He went over and picked one up. It's about a 12-inch long object. He took it back, and over the years, when he was finally able to get funding for it, they've had testing done on it in recent years. Well, it's almost 100% pure aluminum, and it's not other alloys that are not found on the Earth. That would lead you to believe here's some physical evidence from something that is not from here.
Let me just tell our listeners, we did present the late Bob White on the Paracast way back on August 1st, 2006, along with the late Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., as a matter of fact. That episode is still available online if you want to hear it. Bob White's book called UFO Hard Evidence, and I think the only dispute we heard about it was that some people were arguing over the purity of the aluminum. But still, that's a case that I don't think has been fully resolved yet.
Right, except that in the last couple of years, there's been more testing done on it. It's significant. So I would encourage listeners to look into that. I did an article on that in NX News Magazine a couple of years ago and have those later results in there. Okay,
perhaps you can push a direct link on your homepage to it so when our listeners check it out, and we'll include the location of your magazine site, then they can check it out further and they could see and look into it. Okay, so sure. The long and short of it is UFOs may be ET, but you're not 100% sure. I don't think anybody is. They could be interdimensional, interplanetary, whatever. We don't know. We know it's something strange, odd is going on there. Is that fair to say?
That's 100% correct.
That doesn't get you into trouble. But it's so unfortunate here that we do see so many fanciful claims in the UFO field. So many wacky claims. And part of it is, with UFO contacts is very, very controversial. So, for example, UFO abductions. We've had a number of discussions over the years about that. We had the late Bud Hopkins, Dr. David Jacobs, who, by the way, has worked on a new book. I don't know when that's coming out. We've also had people like Kathleen Martin, the niece of the late Betty Hill. She's been on the show a number of times. What is your take about abductions? Do you think it's reflective of contact with some higher being, ET, or maybe an experience that the people involved don't really even understand?
It's all of the above, plus probably a good number of them are abductions by our own military. I have a number of my witnesses who have said they have awakened from some kind of a stupor, and they were in a room with all human beings with military uniforms on. I've had one case where the person was standing in a line in a large large warehouse, and she partially awoke, and a guard came over to assist her and said, "Oh, she's awake," and then she was immediately out again, and then found herself in her bedroom. But these cases, sometimes they're only military that people see, and sometimes there's something else that looks non-human along with them. So I think we're dealing with probably all of the above scenarios.
Makes it real confusing to try to figure it out. So what, in your opinion, why would the military do that? What possible rationale could they have to abduct people and wipe their memories and that sort of thing?
Well, you've heard of the Manchurian Candidate?
Very much so.
Okay. So we know that our government, that there is technology that can control minds. I believe that what they're doing is putting some type of an implant in people, and now I'm thinking it's probably everybody, not just a few people, that it is control of the masses. And just as an example, I have had several people I know tell me that they have suddenly had this thought come in their head that they know is not their own thought. It was something so bizarre and so far out that they knew it wasn't a real thought that they were having. I believe they were targeted because they are UFO researchers and they may be getting too close to something. But we know the technology is there. I really believe that is what is happening. I don't have any proof of that. The only time I can prove something is if someone has something in their body that shouldn't be there, when we run an EMF meter over it and goes off like crazy, or a metal detector. For instance, I belong to an ET experiencers group here in Kansas City. We have about 20 members, and these are all people who believe they've been in direct contact with extraterrestrials.
Let's find out more about that in our next segment with Margie Kay and Gene and Chris talking about UFO abductions, experiencers. You're in
the Paracast. The nation's largest independently owned and operated talk radio network. The Genesis Communications Network. GCN. We've been patiently waiting while you tried to ignore us, waiting while you acted like we didn't exist, waiting for our chance to be taken seriously. The wait is over. GCN is available 24/7 at GCNlive.com. Navigate through news from your favorite hosts and download archives of past shows. Download the app on your smartphone or tablet or visit GCNlive.com for instant access and live streaming. GCNlive.com, the future of talk radio, now at your fingertips.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Did you know that drinking pure, high alkaline water is one of the most important factors in maintaining high energy and vibrant health? Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops, available only at alkavision.com, combine a unique formula of only the most alkaline minerals. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops alkalize your water, ridding the body of harmful toxins, and helps you regain health and energy. Alkalizing your water by simply adding 10 drops of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops helps the body rid itself of acidic waste, increases oxygen content, and raises the pH of your body to healthy levels. And bacteria and viruses cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops for only $29.95 at alkavision.com. That's ALKAvision.com. Or call 269-409-1776. 269-409-1776. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Why do over 50% of North Americans suffer from some form of chronic ailment? Could it be due to a toxic overload? It's time to take back your life. Get the lead out as well as the cadmium, mercury, and calcium. Extendivite is a garlic cayenne supplement with 5 other herbs that acts like a natural Drano, cleaning out the stored toxins, restoring your energy and youthfulness that we've lost. If you would like to live your life free of sickness, pain, or fear, then Extendivite is for you. Available in either capsules or liquid, you too can see why Extendivite is the #1 heart drop available. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We've been patiently waiting while you tried to ignore us, waiting while you acted like we didn't exist, waiting for our chance to be taken seriously. The wait is over. GCN is available 24/7 at GCNlive.com. Navigate through news from your favorite hosts and download archives of past shows. Download the app on your smartphone or tablet, or visit GCNlive.com for instant access and live streaming. GCNlive.com, the future of talk radio, now at your fingertips.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
This is Jerome Clark, author of the UFO Encyclopedia and other books. You're listening to the Paracast.
So, Margie Kay is speaking about this group you're a member of, 20 people who have had kind of UFO contact and or abduction experiences. Now, when you raise this point about the possibility it's a put-up job, and we mentioned MK Ultra and stuff, programs for mind control back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. So the argument here, I wonder, is are some of the prominent flying saucer UFO abductions, like Barney and Betty Hill, a couple who live near a military base. What about that case? Is that possibly a put-up job by the military? I know certainly Kathleen Marden will give us chapter and verse as to why it couldn't be.
Yes, but if you'll remember, Betty describes seeing men in military uniform in military vehicles around the area where they needed to stop with a barricade. So I believe it's both. I believe that in the Betty Hill case and Barney Hill, that we know there were military involved in speaking to both of them after the incident and keeping in contact with them for some time. In fact, the military was out at their house and they saw UFOs on site. So they were interested in investigating the case, but there were ETs involved most likely.
Where would the ETs be involved then? The actual contact?
The contact and the abduction and the ongoing contact and telepathic contact, not necessarily in person all the time, but telepathically. And they would see them quite often after that initial event. They would see them in the skies and coming up close.
Now, this is something here we wanted to mention, that after this happened, and of course, Barney Hill only died a few years later. But after this episode, Betty Hill, throughout much of her life, did report some sort of UFO-related experience of one sort, different kinds of sightings.
Yes.
And she was also a cattle mutilation investigator of sorts. She investigated the only known official report that was filed in New Hampshire and did a pretty good job, I might add.
Well, and Kathleen Marden has done an excellent job in researching and getting facts. And in fact, I helped her out a bit with that case with some questions she had. So I did remote viewing for her on Betty. You know, that would be something she would talk about if she wants to. But it's an interesting case, and I believe that Betty had those experiences her entire life, as is common with a lot of people. When I just don't see cases where a person has an experience one time. It's usually a lifelong thing. So that leads you to believe that they're following certain families and interested somehow in the DNA of those families. And they're involved in making enhancements or improvements, probably, is my opinion on that. Of course, that's up for debate.
Okay, so you believe there is a real contact with some kind of unknown being, possibly extraterrestrial, at the core of the Hills experience. Okay, the thing I always wonder about here is when we hear about abductions, we hear some pretty outlandish descriptions. So, for example, some abductees report being subjected to very primitive level DNA or physical testing. And you think, E.T., they're advanced enough to come to Earth from who knows where. Why would they engage in such primitive techniques? Wouldn't it be simple to take DNA samples that are painless, hardly aware or present for the person who experiences them? I mean, we could take DNA testing pretty simply without pain. Why can't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Why don't they have a Star Trek scanner? You'd think that they would have that kind of technology. I don't have the answer to that. It's people have different experiences. They sometimes have a very positive experience where whatever testing they're doing involves just sitting in a chair and they have some equipment around them, but it's not invasive. And then other people have very negative experiences and they wake up on a cold table and they're strapped down and they're putting needles in their eyes or whatever. That's extremely unpleasant. And I, for the life of me, can't know what the reason for that is either. But the fact is, something is going on, and it's worldwide, and masses of people have had this experience. So, we need to keep digging until we find the answers.
Now, one thing I've suggested from time to time is that, and I'm not alone in this theory, that what they remember, whether through hypnosis or without hypnosis, of the abduction experience is itself a planted memory that may have only a passing resemblance to what really went on. I mean, how do we know?
Well, that's another thing. Once a person gets into, say, therapy and they have multiple regressions, as time goes on and they get deeper and deeper, it does sometimes show that there was a screen memory and that was, hiding something else. I mean, it's much more pleasant to remember a 3-foot owl than it is some strange creature that looks very strange and freaks you out.
Yeah, but I think you've got reversed here as to what I'm saying. I'm saying that the deep down, deeply buried experience that is recovered may itself be a screen memory for something else. I would think that beings that far advanced would be able to engage in some sort of mind control that we couldn't so easily detect with a simple hypnotic regression. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I do, and I agree. There are a lot of questions that are unanswered about this, and somebody may know the answer. Somebody that's doing mind control in the military may know the answers, but they're not sharing it with us. So I don't know. They could be screen memories for something else. Yes.
Okay, now speaking of any of these sightings at all, is it possible that what we see out there in terms of being a UFO is itself the actual event, or something that's so alien to us we can't interpret it, or something they put on for our benefit?
Yes, and sometimes they put on a big show for us. So you have to wonder why they're being so obvious. So obviously they're not trying to be stealthy. They want us to see something. Is it our own military and a couple of young guys in the craft, and they're saying, oh, let's go freak some people out, and they go down real low with the craft, and then they take off? I don't know. That could be possible. But sometimes, you just have to feel that there is extraterrestrial involved, and maybe they just don't care. They don't care what we see or what we experience, and they're here on their own mission, whoever knows what that is. There are a lot of theories about that, and they're just going about their business.
So we don't even know if the experience has anything to do with UFOs. It may be something we interpret in the way we understand it because it is so alien to our being.
Well, that's true, but when you have people that have physical evidence, say injuries, scoop marks out of their arms or burn marks, things like that, then you know something happened. But exactly what that is up for debate.
Do you think we'll ever get a handle on it?
You know, I'm not holding my breath, because whatever it is so far advanced, so much further advanced than we are, that I believe it's beyond our understanding. Now, as the years go on, you know, we're in the high age of high technology right now. It's possible that we could have an understanding of some of it, but I don't think we'll ever get to the point, because, you know, if we're talking about civilizations that are billions of years further advanced than we are, how could we possibly understand that?
It reminds me, I often say, of the sequence in the movie Contact, where Jodie Foster supposedly meets up with E.T. after going in some kind of wormhole machine designed with alien blueprints. And she sees someone who looks like her late father. And the creature, whatever it is, says to her, I'm doing it this way, to paraphrase, it's not the quote, because otherwise you wouldn't understand or accept the way I really look. Let's go more into that and other things with Margie Kay and Gene and Chris. You're in
the Paracast.
Great minds think alike. The network for the independent-minded. The Genesis Communications Network. GCN.
Graphic Converter is the image manipulation tool for the rest of us. It does not use any database. You get full control of all your files. Want to view the images of a folder? Drag it into Graphic Converter and a powerful browser opens up to show your image files. You could use it for slideshows. You could use it to import images from digital cameras or from scanners. Need to do some image editing? You can do that too in Graphic Converter. Also print catalogs. Convert from so many formats I can't even list them. Download now to see if Graphic Converter is good for you, like 1.5 million other users. Guess what? You could save money when you buy Graphic Converter. Use the coupon code Night Owl. Use the coupon code Night Owl to get a special price for Graphic Converter. Go to lemkesoft.com. That's LEMKEsoft.com. lemkesoft.com. LEMKEsoft.com.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Everyone says or does something silly once in a while, but once that embarrassing thing is on the internet, it can spread like a terrible rash. Put it to rest. Get a free expert analysis today from Reputation.com. It only takes 30 seconds. 800-831-0771. We protect your online image by helping to make sure that when people search for you or your business, they find the most current, accurate information possible. Reputation.com, because word travels fast. Call for a free analysis today. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771.
Hi, Peter Vaccaro for ParanormalDate.com. Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? Now you have a chance to change that by signing up for free at ParanormalDate.com. This incredible dating site puts people of like minds together. People who are interested in the strange, the unusual, mysteries, ghosts, UFOs, and the afterlife, and so much more. ParanormalDate.com was developed for you, people seeking a viable alternative to the other dating services. You can join for free by going to ParanormalDate.com, and if you decide you like it and want to connect with people, use the code GEORGE for a substantial discount. Mark Rawlings, president of ParanormalDate.com, says so many people hunger to share their experiences about the paranormal, the unexplainable, or the afterlife, and so much more, and this is the source for them to meet and share that common interest. So sign up for free at ParanormalDate.com, ParanormalDate.com, and use the code GEORGE if you decide to connect with someone you like.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey Guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products. Most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
This is Jerome Clark, author of the UFO Encyclopedia and other books. You're listening to the Paracast.
A fascinating session with Margie Kay, psychic UFO investigator. No insights yet, Margie, into my late brother, right?
Except that I keep seeing him putting a dog bone into a sack, and then like a burlap sack. I don't know why.
I don't recall him ever having a dog.
Oh, this is just getting weirder and weirder.
Right. That is getting weird. Thoroughly weird what you're finding out about that. I'll give you some insights after the show is over.
Speaking of animals, Margie, you've done quite a bit of work in Missouri on the cattle mutilation mystery. How did you get involved in that initially, and how has your thinking evolved over the time? And has your thinking changed at all, or what did you go into? What was your mindset going into your initial investigation process?
Well, cattle or animal mutilations was not something I was ever particularly interested in. I wondered about it, but I didn't feel like I would be investigating it. But in 2011, January, there was a report on KCTV5 about an unexplained animal mutilation near KCI Airport. So that caught my attention, and I called the reporter. I got the person's name and contacted him. He was very reluctant to be involved in it, but he finally agreed to let me come out and investigate. And I grabbed another investigator who's also a police officer, and he's had investigative training. So we went to the site, and we found some strange things. The animal was drained of all its blood, and yet there was not one drop of blood on the ground where it was laying. It had been ill, so it had been separated from the rest of the herd and was in a pen by itself. And the animal had obviously been dropped from above because there was a 2-inch indentation into the very, very hard ground that, there had been no moisture and it was in the middle of winter. And here was this bad indentation. Now, the animal had been moved by the time I got there. So what we did was take some soil samples. So we took some inside where the animal was laying, and then also, and there was a clear outline, by the way, and then also 60 feet away. And I sent those samples in to Colorado to Chuck Zukowski, and he also sent an animal mutilation sample that he obtained a couple of weeks prior, and a soil sample as well. And the results were that in both cases, the soil was found to be non-water soluble, which is strange because that has to be, in order for that to happen, has to be subjected to extremely high temperatures.
Yeah.
Well, another case came after that, third case, and that soil was also non-water soluble. So now we've found a commonality with the cases. And the reason I even thought about going out to see this case was because of the connection with UFOs. And sometimes UFOs are seen in the area, or other strange things happen at the same time or near the same time as animal mutilations. Of course, you know all about that. Well, then that just kind of piqued my interest after that case, and I got several others, and I just find it interesting. I had to I'm not, a farm girl or livestock. I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like to be around it, but I just had to suck it up and get out there
and stay upwind.
It's interesting.
The one thing about the Kansas City case, well, actually, there's two things that really spring to mind. Number one, this was literally on leased property belonging to the airport, and the control tower couldn't have been more than a quarter mile away. I mean, I've seen photographs of the animal lying there, and in the background, you can see the control tower. So if it was dropped from the air, either somebody was asleep at the wheel there up in that control tower, or there's some pretty, how would I put this, I guess, impressive cloaking technology involved. The other thing that really struck me was the strange kind of outline around the animal. It appeared that the area had been singed. Of course, not being at the site myself, it's impossible really to determine, conclusively anything from a photograph. But you did describe just kind of in passing that there was the outline of the animal. What did you make of that?
Actually, that case did not have a singe around it. That has been in a couple of other cases I've worked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was shortly after, I think, then. Yeah.
Right. That was the next year. But the outline was clearly just seen in the dirt in this case, and you could see where the animal had been thrashing. So it died on sight. It wasn't dead before it fell or was dropped.
Yeah. Well, did you ever get any sort of off-the-record statement or even on-the-record statement from control tower personnel? Because to have something like that happen in such close proximity to quite an impressive array of radar and other types of detection gear, it must have been a little disconcerting.
Yeah, it is. They had completely denied that there was anything or that there was anything on radar. And they said that they don't tell the public anything like that. And I'd have to get a Freedom of Information Act request, which I sent in and of course, did not get a response to. But interestingly, there have been other cattle mutilation cases in the same area within a mile of that spot that happened in the 1970s. There were at least a dozen cattle mutilated at that time.
Yeah, there was Missouri was particularly hard hit, especially in the South, if memory serves me correct. Well, this is the kind of thing that I've been wrestling with about how many cases actually go unreported. What do you think? What would your estimation be, percentage-wise, of cases that go unreported of this type?
Oh, I would say 80 to 90% of those cases go unreported.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many people since then, and they just seem to fall in my lap just on passing. They'll come up to me and say, oh, by the way, I had a cattle mutilation on my farm in whatever year. And did you report it? No. So, of all the people I've talked to, I would say 90% don't report or more. And the reason they give is they didn't want anybody to think they were nuts.
Right.
And they didn't want to be made fun of. I mean, I had one man who went on local television with the sheriff, and the sheriff made fun of him. He was laughing and making a joke about it. Well, this guy, he didn't think it was funny that a dozen of his cattle were mutilated over a 3-day period, and he lost a lot of money. So he just wanted answers. He wasn't thinking that it was anything UFO related or, anything strange. He thought that was actually humans doing it, and he wanted answers. Well, they made a big joke about it, and so now he won't talk to anybody.
No. Well, I find that too, and I have to agree with your estimation that 8 or 9 cases out of 10 go unreported. And I also see a correlation that the stranger the case, the less likely it is to be reported. The more high strange, the evidence, if there's any sort of spookiness involved with the case in terms of how the animal has been disfigured, for instance, oftentimes those are the cases that have the least likelihood of being reported.
Well, and also the veterinarians will cover things up. I've had cases where the veterinarian says one thing to the rancher and writes another thing completely different down in his report, making it some mundane explanation like coyotes, when he has told everybody on site that he can't explain it.
Yeah. Now, you're involved with a team that works the Front Range in the Midwest out there. Do you have a sense that the activity is just burbling along, or do you think that there are periods where we have more activity and then the activity may cease completely? Have you noticed any sort of patterning to these cases in the last 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, there are patterns where we'll have a time period where you have all kinds of weird stuff happening. There'll be animal mutilations, Bigfoot sightings, and UFO sightings, and even paranormal activity will increase. And then there'll be a long period where nothing happens, and I'm going into the CMS and wondering what the heck's going on. Why aren't we having more things? Although the past 2 years, actually since 2011, since a big UFO flap in Kansas City in 2011, we have just had a steady stream with not very much time off.
Well, that certainly goes against the theory by some people that UFOs left us. I know in Canada they have an awful lot of UFO sightings. Chris Rutkowski comes on the show every year or so and gives us an update. We have Margie Kay. She works with Missouri MUFON. I'm going to ask her something about that in the next segment or two. With Gene and Chris, you're in
the Paracast. Not just an alternative to the mainstream media. We're the premier independent talk radio network. We are GCN.
First came Attack of the Rockoids, and it was a critically acclaimed success. And now there is The Coming of the Protectors. A former military intelligence man is contacted by a space woman in a dream that turns out to be a nightmare because evil forces on her distant planet are planning to conquer the Earth. This is gripping science fiction of the classic kind. Attack of the Rockoids and The Coming of the Protectors. Find out more at rockoids.com. That's Rockoids, ROCKOIDS.com.
So here's what happened. I was placing an order online. The site went down. It just stopped responding. It took hours before it returned, but I'd already placed the order with another company. If your site goes down, you could lose business. And if you have a business or personal site, you'll want to know it's easy to run and it will stay online. At iWeb, your site is hosted on one of the most reliable networks in the world. Check it out. iWeb.com. That's iWeb.com.
There's a guy named Dr. Wallach who is anything but your typical doctor. Both a veterinarian and a naturopathic physician, Doc asks, why is this country spending more money on healthcare by far and ranking 50th in health and longevity worldwide? Doc believes that people should empower themselves with a basic understanding of nutrition, taking charge of their life, and attaining optimal health and longevity through nutrition, not by toxic pharmaceutical drugs that lead to side effects that require more expensive and toxic pharmaceutical drugs. Talk about being dependent on drug companies to our own destruction, no less. This is clearly a deadly recipe. Doc Wallach's message is resonating with an increasing number of Americans who are waking up to all the government and big pharma manipulation of our health and healthcare system. I like what Doc Wallach is saying and doing to enlighten people about healthcare, and I've joined forces with him to help this tireless crusader spread his message. Visit brightsideben.com and listen to Doc Wallach's deadly recipe lectures. It makes a lot of sense, and I invite you to join our Brightside Ben team. Go to brightsideben.com. That's www.brightsideben.com.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
On the Paracast with Gene and Chris, we are continuing our explorations of psychic phenomena and UFOs and cryptozoology and cattle mutilations with Margie Kay. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this or not. Chris has this project he's involved in the Mysterious Valley involving cameras, a camera network they call the San Luis Valley Camera Project. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I have. And I think that's a great idea. However, I think if we're dealing with things that operate in a higher vibration that's beyond the visible light spectrum and, of course, also beyond what the camera can get, might not have much luck. But cameras do catch more than we can see with the naked eye. So hopefully that'll work.
And there's always that very vexing problem of cameras not functioning properly when stuff is happening, which just occurs time and time again to people. And I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been on an investigation and get to the site, and I'm looking through my video camera with a charge for 700 hours, and it drains down to nothing in 5 seconds. And I watch it drain down.
Oh, I hate when that happens. That just happened to me about 3 weeks ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a pain.
Yeah. The car battery was fine, but all the other batteries, everybody's phones and cameras and my little digital recording device were all drained. And we had just been, we had a low pass of what appeared to be a military helicopter that went right over us. And I'm not sure if the two are related, but it's kind of hard not to think so.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I don't know
Probably
how
a good
they do
bet.
that.
That's why we carry lots of batteries with us.
Yeah.
And we try to be prepared for anything strange, like, I was on one cattle mutilation investigation where I'd been out there several times. We actually had planes flying overhead that we couldn't see, at least 4 of them, that were right over our heads and very loud, but we could not see them. And then we had what we would think was a helicopter because we were loading up, getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden this like 80-mile-an-hour wind comes up, blowing us all to heck, and it just felt like a helicopter blade, and then it was gone. And this was on a dead, calm day. It was over 100 degrees.
That can be a little disconcerting.
No wind before or after. Yes, it can. And I know that there is such thing as invisible craft, or that, something that they can cloak, because I have a good friend who is in an organization with 3 letters, and he's confirmed that he's seen them himself. So they're there.
Gotta watch out for those 3-lettered organizations.
Yes.
Once a spook, always spooky.
Well, let me ask you a question here then, since we raised this and the possibilities of government involvement in some UFO cases. Have you had any Men in Black encounters or encounters with government people wanting you not to talk about this?
I have had encounters with government people. They have made themselves known and highly visible. They have taps on all of my phones and all of our internet. I've caught them leaving little tiny boxes up on our Comcast system outside of my office and changing that out. We've caught them 4 times. I've got them on videotape. They've made themselves known, but no one has ever approached me and said, stop doing what you're doing. But whenever I'm working on a high-profile case, they appear.
So they're making no effort to hide their existence and presence?
In some cases, they are making an effort to hide, but I found them anyway. But in other cases, I think they're being too darn obvious.
They're trying to be too darn obvious. Do you think, therefore, it's misdirection, get you to focus on what you think they're doing, and they're doing something else?
I think they're just letting me know they're there and interested in the case I'm working on, and maybe their messages to back off the case. But I've never had anybody actually say that to me.
Well, does that make you feel all warm and fuzzy and protected, or the opposite?
No, it doesn't. But I've been doing this so many years. If they wanted to do something, they would have done it by now. Oh, I've been doing this so many years that if they wanted to do something to me, they would have already done it. And I just think they want me to know that they're there and they're watching me.
But so you don't care?
Pardon me?
You don't care?
Well, I care, but I can't let it destroy my life. I have business to run, and I have things I like to do, and I'm just going to go about my business.
Do you have family members who've had encounters or any strange experiences at all?
Yes. Every family member has had something, whether it's simply seeing something in the sky at a distance or something close up, or actually seeing ETs in their room. It's at different levels of experience, but all of them, both my sister and brother, my children and grandchildren.
Now, when you say ETs, you're just saying presumed ETs. You don't know what they really are.
Something that doesn't look human, yes.
Okay.
Or something that we assume is not of this earth. Yes. And weird things. I mean, just strange things happen. Oh, like drones flying right over our houses that are obviously drones. You know, what's the reason for that?
And it's not Amazon doing a test run.
I don't know if they've got FAA approval in Kansas City, but I haven't heard about it.
I'm being less serious. Now, when we talk about government intervention or observation, do you think the government really knows anything solid about UFOs, or are they as mystified as the rest of us?
Part of me thinks that they are following the investigators because they want to learn from whatever it is we know or can find out. And then part of me thinks there's at least some part of the government that knows a heck of a lot more than the rest of us. I think that has to be true.
Yeah, there's too many good quality gun camera footage from planes, from fighter planes, and there's just, you know, I think UFO sightings around nuclear test sites is a really good subject for a book that somebody should eventually write, because there seems to be a real interest in our military's weaponry, especially if it has any sort of nuclear component to it, and of course nuclear power plants and facilities that enrich uranium tend to attract sightings, especially in Colorado, based on my own personal experience of hearing stories and following up leads. NORAD, of course, has had some fairly famous mutilation events that happened in one case right inside of the doorway into the Cheyenne Mountain facility, which somebody was sending a message to someone there. So yeah, they definitely have. I think the way I've always said it is the more you know you don't know, and the more confused you become. And so they know a lot more than we are, so they're probably a lot more confused.
Exactly, I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It's confusing for all of us, especially the more you get involved in it, and the more you keep digging and then going into different topics trying to find answers. And at some point, you realize you're not ever going to get all the answers.
Yeah. Well, we're getting into an age now with the affordability of post-production software and animation programs, and it's getting harder and harder for I think the average person to determine what is a true photograph or video clip versus one that's been fabricated. And of course, you know, you have to really think back to people like George Adamski and some of the contactees of the 50s. And then, of course, we have an upcoming guest of yours. Several people on our forums are scratching their heads wondering why you're going to be presenting Michael Horn and the Billy Meyer highly dubious and for the most part discredited case of the one-armed Swiss farmer made famous by Wendell Stevens and Lee and Britt Elders back in the 80s. Where do you fall on the Billy Meyer thing and Michael Horn especially? We've had him on the show, and he is not a pleasant person to speak with unless you totally agree with him.
Let's have that answer in our next segment with Margie Kay and Gene and Chris. You're in
the Paracast.
Neighbors, are you tired of dealing with a slow web hosting provider? Well, check out A2 Hosting and their screaming fast Swift server platform. They even have SSDs that load pages 300% faster than the competition. Ready to give your site a speed boost? Well, tell you what, neighbors, head on over to a2hosting.com. That's A2, that's number 2, a2hosting.com. Check out their Prime hosting account. And get this, neighbors, they're even giving you an exclusive 25% off discount for all our listeners. 25%. And remember, their Guru Crew support team is standing by 24/7, 365 days a year to answer any of your questions. Now, to get the discount, use the coupon code GENE when you check out.
Hi, Peter Vaccaro for ParanormalDate.com. Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? Now you have a chance to change that by signing up for free at ParanormalDate.com. This incredible dating site puts people of like minds together. People are interested in the strange, the unusual, mysteries, ghosts, UFOs, and the afterlife, and so much more. ParanormalDate.com was developed for you, people seeking a viable alternative to the other dating services. You can join for free by going to ParanormalDate.com, and if you decide you like it and want to connect with people, use the code GEORGE for a substantial discount. Mark Rawlings, president of ParanormalDate.com, says so many people hunger to share their experiences about the paranormal, the unexplainable, or the afterlife, and so much more, and this is the source for them to meet and share that common interest. So sign up for free at ParanormalDate.com, ParanormalDate.com, and use the code GEORGE if you decide to connect with someone you like.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Why do over 50% of North Americans suffer from some form of chronic ailment? Could it be due to a toxic overload? It's time to take back your life. Get the lead out as well as the cadmium, mercury, and calcium. Extendovite is a garlic cayenne supplement with 5 other herbs that acts like a natural Drano, cleaning out the stored toxins, restoring your energy and youthfulness that we've lost. If you would like to live your life free of sickness, pain, or fear, then Extendovite is for you. Available in either capsules or liquid, you too can see why Extendovite is the #1 heart drop available. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Usually, the older one gets, the less you are able to absorb amino acids and the less you are able to repair the 100 trillion cells of your body. As a result, you'll have less energy, your tissues will shrink, and you'll become wrinkled. An older person will typically injure more easily and heal more slowly. Not fun. However, if you can consume a protein powder that is easier to absorb, then you may be able to gain back some strength, muscle, and speed of recovery. One World Whey is a highly digestible whey protein powder that may be the perfect answer for you.
My name is Errol. I'm 74 years old. You know, the taste of One World Whey is amazing. I play pickleball, and since taking One World Whey and your trace mineral supplement, I have more energy and recover faster from my working out. I used to take another grass-fed whey protein powder, but now I'm getting much better results using One World Whey.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldway.com.
We'd like to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com.
To give you a hint about Billy Meyer and Michael Horn, we had Michael Horn as a guest on the Paracast twice in our early years. We had extensive discussions of the case. In fact, we reached a point where Michael Horn himself was referred to as he who shall not be named in our forums because it got so contentious.
Oh.
So, all right. Now, I can give you a lot of stories about our investigations because we have done investigations. Our original co-host, David Biedny, analyzed a set of photos submitted by Michael Horn. We had some other guests who looked at the so-called wedding cake photos. Where do you stand on Billy Meyer?
Well, here's the thing. I never have anybody come in to speak at my events until I remote view them or remote view the case. And in this case, I remote viewed the Billy Meyer case about 3 or 4 years ago when I saw a documentary film about him. And everybody was wondering, is this real? Is this real? So I went home, went into a trance state, and I remote viewed way back to the 70s and forward, and I see that he is a contactee, and Billy Meyer was telling the truth. So I have a personal interest in the case, and, I don't know about Michael Horn's personality. He's been very pleasant to me. In fact, I had him on my radio show, and he was quite pleasant. But I just felt compelled to get this story out and hear more about it firsthand. So, you know what? We'll see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what happened here. Let me tell you. So David Biedny did an analysis. It's still in our forums. of these photos submitted by Michael Horn, found them to be obvious, blatant fakes that he easily duplicated. With regard to the wedding cake photo, that has been duplicated. I think it's something like a fancy garbage can cover. The long and short of it is, not a single one of the Billy Meyer photos has ever been shown to be genuine, and most are obvious, blatant fakes. That's indisputable because we've done that ourselves here in the Paracast and the guests who are close to the show. And even one person who is not close to the show anymore, but he did work that we respect. He did photo analysis. Let me bring up another point here. Before we invited he who shall not be named, or Mr. Horn, to the Paracast, we did our due diligence. We did some research, and we found out a number of very, very curious things. Now, Michael Horn claims that Billy Meyer has made predictions that have come true. In every case that we looked at this, however, what we find is this, that those predictions were either so general, they weren't specific enough to really, actually, and truly give you any evidence of any foreknowledge. In some cases, it was even worse, where the prediction was not posted or published until after the event occurred, or got information scientifically wrong. Now, I don't know about your remote viewing, and I'll be generous here and grant that maybe Billy Meyer early on, and this is possibly true with a lot of so-called contactees, had one or more genuine experiences. He also received a lot of attention for those experiences and maybe felt then that he wanted more attention. So later experiences were fabricated. Now, as to the influence of that by Michael Horn, I don't know. He's his authorized representative in the USA. We'll leave it at that. Obviously, he's nice if you go along with him. If not, he can be very contentious, very difficult to deal with, and after a while, his presence in our forum was unwelcomed. We threw him out of our forums because it was impossible to have a sensible conversation with him. So I'll put it this way. Obviously, I can't account for your remote viewing. I will account for this. He may have had real experiences, but the rest is all fakery. His photographic evidence is a fake. His predictions are a fake. So the thing I have here to say is, if we have all this evidence of fakery, how can we take anything that he says seriously, even if granted he had something real happen to him? Margie?
Well, you say that, but then Michael Horn can refute everything.
No, he cannot. He cannot. I'll stop it there. He cannot.
Okay.
He's been given every opportunity to refute things, and his technique is this way. You can hear the shows yourself. It's back 2006. He doesn't refute anything. What he does is he talks you to death. So that's his first technique. His first technique is to just talk and talk and talk. And then if you point out something that is incorrect, he changes the subject or he misrepresents an answer. So no, he has never refuted anything. There's thousands of posts in our forums showing you everything that he says disassembled. I have email threads where people on a roving mailing list are having it out with Michael Horn, and every single case, everything he says is refuted completely. So maybe you haven't disproven what he says. We have, to our satisfaction, shown that he is being deceptive completely.
If you can send me your evidence of that, I would love to see it. And I'm going to be very open-minded here. But I'd like to see your testing on his photos.
Well, okay, as far as the testing on his photos, you have to go back to the early episodes of the Paracast where Michael Horn appeared. And I'll send you the listing. It's for June 27th, 2006, where I interviewed him, and then where he debated David Biedny on July 11th, 2006. So we have June 27th and July 11th, 2006. In our forums, if you go back that far to 2006, and we still have the messages online, 1,000 of them, you'll see exactly what happened.
Okay, I'll check into it.
Right.
Yeah, my favorite is the alleged photograph of Semyasi and another one of the Pleiadians, or I forget where he said they were from. And somebody found exactly where he got that photograph. And they were two, I think, girls that were featured weekly on the Dean Martin show. And they put up the example of of the known photograph, and then put it side by side with the photograph that he claimed it was Semjase, and they are absolutely identical. So it's really in the face of that kind of evidence, and sort of refuting some of the real major elements of his story. It's really difficult to take a lot of the subsequent material seriously, at least for me. And I do try to be as open-minded as possible without suspending my disbelief. But I try to be as objective and open-minded as possible. And the film footage of the UFO circling the tree is so obvious on a string.
Really?
There's just some of it is just it's laughable.
Now understand here, Margie, that Chris and I have been around this field for a number of years, as you have. Chris has done photo analysis. I have worked with people who do photo analysis, people whom I trust. And I will tell you again that, number one, Michael Horn can't refute a thing. He can filibuster with the best of them. All the photos Billy Meyer produces or his representatives produce are obvious, absurd frauds, just as the one I see at MUFON's Missouri site announcing it. That's one of these wackadoodle frauds that he's peddling. And that's the problem we have with Billy Meyer and Michael Horn. Let me get on with that in a moment. With Gene and Chris and Margie Kay, you're in
the Paracast.
Free from the shackles of corporate America, we're the place for independent thinkers. GCN.
Now, a twice as nice Twin Kit special offer from Complete H2O Minerals for all GCN listeners. Get a Complete H2O Minerals Twin Kit with 33 different minerals, vitamins, and amino acids all in a liquid form. Enough for 2 people for 1 month. Regular price $89.95, but now Complete H2O Minerals is offering the Twin Kit for $69.95. And all GCN listeners receive a bonus 16-ounce bottle of Ionic Silver absolutely free with free shipping. A $120 total value. Hurry, limited time offer. Call 803-794-4767 or click CompleteH2OMinerals.com.
Affordable health insurance was the promise of Obamacare, but for many, the government mandate caused more problems than it solved. And I want to tell you about a truly affordable alternative, Liberty HealthShare. Liberty HealthShare bypasses doctor and hospital panels, giving you the freedom to choose. 100% coverage up to $1 million per year per occurrence, who includes dental, vision, pharmacy, and holistic care. Call 1-800-714-6993. 1-800-714-6993. 1-800-714-6993 today.
Thousands of people seeking home security get ripped off every day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that's your only option. They've got hordes of salesmen out there trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing huge checks month after month with no way out. It's robbery by contract, and it can cost you thousands. But there's a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get award-winning 24/7 protection. Security professionals watching over your home, ready to instantly send police to the rescue for just $14.99 per month. That's less than half what most companies charge. Protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafedefense.com today for an exclusive 10% offer and get a free keychain remote worth $25. Only when you go to simplysafedefense.com. simplysafedefense.com.
Okay, honey, I have to ask, and be honest here. Have you been taking a little blue pill? Because things have been pretty good in the bedroom lately.
No, I swear.
You didn't pick anything up at the Pharmacia last month in Cancun?
No.
Well, something's different.
I have been taking that heart and body extract you bought me.
But that's for your heart and to control your cholesterol.
Well, I read HB extract also promotes healthy prostate function.
I never guessed it would work this well,
But you're glad it did.
Oh, yeah.
Heart and Body Extract is a 100% organic formula that promotes a strong heart, healthy arterial flow, better circulation, improves erectile and prostate gland function, and provides youthful energy, strength, and stamina. Find out more at heartandbodyextract.com. Heart and Body Extract paired with healthy heart choices is a winning combination. Call toll-free to order or for free information. 1-866-295-5305. 1-866-295-5305.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio.
Now, once again, Margie Kay, I don't want you to take everything we say on faith. I'd like you to listen to the episodes in which Michael Horn appears. I'd like you to look at the threads from July, the summer of 2006 in our forums. I'll try to get the links to you, okay? So let's be fair about it. And if you still don't believe us, go ahead. I'm cool with that. But I really want you to find out. That's why we will never have him on the show again. Because we are satisfied that he's a fake. We are satisfied that Billy Meyer is a fake.
Well, I will look into what you've got and do some more research on it. And then we'll see.
Fair enough. Let's move to one or two more topics before we end the show. We have like 2 segments left. Now, we're talking about government interests, knowledge about UFOs. And we have some people out there who are pushing for disclosure. The government knows the truth. Why aren't they telling us? What's your take?
Oh, well, let's assume that they do know the truth and they're not telling us because they don't want to cause mass panic. That's the obvious answer. I'm sure that that's what everybody thinks. And then I hear some people say, well, I'm not going to panic. I want to know the truth. But in fact, if we or if somebody disclosed officially, some big official somewhere said, hey, we've been visited by extraterrestrials for 60 years or thousands of years, whatever it is. They are more powerful than us and they're more intelligent than us and they can do all kinds of stuff and we're powerless against them. So, that would probably cause a panic. I think that's why.
So we don't expect to see Obama walk out with ET and say, I have here evidence in the form of this person or being to prove that we're being visited by other beings. Of course, in that case, the political climate is so polarized in this country, I kind of expect that if Obama came out that way, nobody would believe him, especially Fox News.
Right. No. Well, I don't want to talk politics at all, but it wouldn't be believable. They would take it with a grain of salt. Now, Jesse Ventura said he might run. Let's say on the off chance he gets into the presidency, that's one of the things that he would bring up. That's one of the topics that he would want answers, and he'd tell everybody. So I bet he's not going to get in office. Something would stop it.
Right. Well, we know Jesse Ventura. He did one of our best episodes of the Paracast a few years back.
Oh,
all right. Now,
he's great.
He is really great. He's a lot of fun. Now, one of the other issues, of course, with disclosure is whether you would do it gradually. In other words, you, on a very, very careful basis, dole out information. And let's assume UFOs represent visits by ET. So you'd very slowly present more and more evidence that science has discovered that there is life out there. Until at some point you could say, hey, okay, we know life is out there. Here it is.
So isn't that what's happening right now? They go to Mars and come back and say, oh, there might have been some life here at one time. It looks like we've got some fossils of something. And now we're going to Pluto. I have a feeling they're going to find something on Pluto. They're going to find water or something that could support life. And now, all of a sudden, past couple of years, They found all these billions and billions of possibilities for planets just in our galaxy alone that could possibly support life. So also through movies, television, radio, everybody on the planet now knows and is not surprised to hear the term extraterrestrial. Even the kids joke about it. They even have cartoons with ET. So are we being conditioned? Maybe. Maybe there will be some disclosure. I just don't think it's going to happen immediately.
So do you think all this is part of it? Now we have Earth 2, by the way. You've heard about that, where we have this other planet 1,400 light years away that may or may not be the mirror image of Earth. Well, not quite. It's a little larger, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, I think that our government and NASA knows a heck of a lot more than they're revealing to us, and they're revealing it slowly to us over time, and at a rate that they think we can handle it. They're just, planting the thought. Okay, does the Vatican investigate UFOs? Yes, they do. They have their own observatory. They have their own scientists that are on watch 24 hours a day, and they're looking for a lot of things, including extraterrestrial life. 50 years ago, you never would have heard the Pope say something like he believes that there could be other intelligence out there. So, yeah, things have changed a lot. Things are moving forward. Plus, we don't need the government to disclose something when there's stuff above us all the time, constantly. I mean, that's what I experience in Kansas City and in the state of Missouri. There's just constantly, this idea that only 5 to 10% of the reported sightings are explained. I don't go with that, because out of mine that I've looked at, 40% of them are unexplained. That's a lot higher figure, and I think nobody wants that out.
That's an interesting point you came out with. So you're saying that unlike what is being said in general about the number of cases that are unexplained, it's not 5 or 10%, it's 40%?
Yes. Just based on my own experience and other investigators I've spoken to, it's a much larger percentage of unexplained. And unexplained means we can't figure out what it is. It means we've ruled out every possibility that we can think of. It's not the ISS. It's not a planet. It's not a conventional aircraft.
I'm looking at the whole thing here about psychological management of possible disclosure of the presence of alien visitation. Or it may just be our scientific knowledge that's expanding. But assuming it's gradual disclosure, how long do you think it'll take for the people, the powers that be, to be ready to say something more significant? Or do we wake up one day and say, oh, it's here? And saying that, I'm assuming one thing for sure, and that is there will not be a massed landing of alien visitors around the planet in which they disclose their own presence here.
Well, that's another topic that I've remote viewed. Okay. I've actually remote viewed that, and I have seen certain people involved who would be discussing that, and the consensus is among other countries that they're ready for disclosure and they want to go ahead with it, but the United States has been reluctant, and they absolutely put their foot down and will refuse to do that, and have refused. And it's been some time. So some of those countries involved went ahead and let a lot of their files go. And so the world, knows about that. They know something is going on. But until the United States does, I don't think that it's going to really sink into people that this is a real thing, a real event. Because the rest of the world looks to us as, the experts on the topic, I believe. Of course, the Belgians and the Germans and the British are up there too, as well as some South American countries. But they really need the United States to come forward and admit at least that there are some things that are unexplained. But they're refusing to do that, at least in what I've seen remote viewing.
Well, okay, this is an important issue, which I kind of like to bring up here, which is that we obviously have countries out there who don't like the United States at all. And I kind of think that maybe some of them would like to one-up us. And we could name certain countries that would love to one-up the United States, come up with something that we haven't disclosed, and either make us look secretive or make us look foolish. You get the picture. We've got more to come. With Gene and Chris, you're in
the Paracast.
Not just an alternative to the mainstream media. We're the premier independent talk radio network. We are GCN.
Graphic Converter is the image manipulation tool for the rest of us. It does not use any database. You get full control of all your files. Want to view the images of a folder? Drag it into Graphic Converter and a powerful browser opens up to show your image files. You could use it for slideshows. You could use it to import images from digital cameras or from scanners. Need to do some image editing? You can do that too in Graphic Converter. Also print catalogs. Convert from so many formats I can't even list them. Download now to see if Graphic Converter is good for you, like 1.5 million other users. Guess what? You could save money when you buy Graphic Converter. Use the coupon code Night Owl. Use the coupon code Night Owl to get a special price for Graphic Converter. Go to lemkesoft.com. That's Lemke soft.com. Lemkesoft.com. Lemke soft.com.
Would you like to use your IRA funds to buy precious metals and hold them at home? Are you wary of the stock market, paper gold, or faraway depositories? With a checkbook IRA, you may legally take custody of IRA-owned gold and silver. Visit checkbookira.com and learn how IRA owners in all 50 states have already taken control. Checkbookira.com. Checkbookira.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light System today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's It's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Hi, this is Joshua P. Warren, author of The Poor Man's Paranormal, and you're listening to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio.
First and foremost, I will not comment on the claim about remote viewing the attitudes of other countries towards UFOs. Let's move on. It's a mark of honor, by the way, on the Paracast to be asked to do our stinger.
Oh, yay.
It is. It is. And by the way, as we're talking, I did locate a couple of threads which I'll put in the chat window of Skype for you to check out about the topic under discussion. So let's continue here. We're talking about the possibilities of gradual disclosure and the theory that I gave towards the end of the previous segment that maybe we have to consider other governments who don't like the United States and would like to one-up us. Wouldn't Putin in Russia want to say, hey, we can prove we got the evidence about ET?
Well, what about this scenario? Let's say that all of the major superpowers do know about ET, and they decided to work together through a program called Star Wars. And they decided to create a space station and maybe multiple space stations and maybe a base on the moon, working together, everybody, for the benefit of protecting the Earth from possible negative extraterrestrials. And then all the rest of this stuff is smoke and mirrors. All the wars and the fighting and the junk TV, as I call it, that people are paying attention to are all things to get our attention away from what's really going on. Because there would be mass panic if the world thought we were in some danger and that our superpowers were working together against a common enemy. I mean, look at the evidence from the space shuttle. The space shuttle photographs that clearly show what looks like a missile going out and some objects that are moving at a 90-degree angle at an extremely high rate of speed. It looks like a Star Wars going on up there.
Well, remember, Star Wars originally was the name of an advanced spaceborne defensive system proposed by President Reagan.
Right. Yeah. I am convinced that that is implemented now, and it has been for some time. And we're actually working with the Russians and probably the Germans as well.
So even though we say officially we didn't do that, we did that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some things here in Kansas City that lead me to believe that we have some objects around the planet that are near Earth stations, and they have weapons on them for protection. They've probably taken out some asteroids, like the one over Russia, and they would probably be able to take some things out who would be coming in from elsewhere.
So taking out something from ET, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, with advanced, powerful weapons that the public doesn't know anything about.
So that goes by the assumption that ET, if it exists, is hostile.
Some, not all of them, but if you just take some of the government's own publications, I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's one where they've got like 132 different types of extraterrestrials in it. Well, look at the Earth. Look how many different countries and nationalities and races of people here that we have that are not getting along, and some of them are very aggressive and some of them aren't.
But are you suggesting some of our wars were fabricated?
Well, I imagine the same thing is planet away from us. I suspect that, yes. Just like I suspect that the 9/11 event was fabricated.
Well, I'm wondering about all those troops who were killed, though.
Yeah, that's sad, extremely sad.
But do you think the military-industrial complex would stage wars just to hide something else? That seems kind of strange, too. We can talk about the motives and have a great political argument.
Well, that's that would be an entire other show to talk about conspiracy theories and the Illuminati and what's really going on in the background, who's pulling the strings. I mean, if anybody believes that our political heads of state are in charge, I have to say, think again. There's something going on behind the scenes. There's just too much evidence, and I don't believe anything. I don't even watch the mainstream news anymore because everything they say is probably the opposite is true.
Okay, so if I want to get the truth, is there like a TV network where I can find it?
I doubt it. I think, the closest that you can get to the truth is people talking to each other through the internet. And that's how information gets out there. And of course, there's a lot of disinformation happening that way as well. So you just have to be really careful. And sometime you just have to give up and say, you're just not going to know the truth.
Well, the thing we have to understand about the so-called mainstream media is that all of them, and we're not talking about just NBC or CBS or ABC, but Fox News, they are all owned by large multinational corporations. And the purpose of those corporations is to make a profit. And you make a profit with ratings, because ratings produce ads and the ads can be sold at higher rates. So, of course, if you get more people to watch, and one way to do that is to just make them mad. You have outrageous news, crazy things going on, lots of controversy, lots of name-calling. Well, people watch, people listen. Shows get ratings, and that's how they succeed. But how can you believe what they say?
It's become entertainment. It's not news, it's news entertainment. And they also censor. I've had several cases where the news media was initially interested, and I was interviewed by a reporter. And in fact, a reporter was on site during one investigation, and he saw things he couldn't believe. Well, he went into a second investigation segment, was aired again a week later, and then when he wanted to do a third one, his boss brought him into his office, and he said, "We need to stop this." And he said, "Why?" And he says, "I can't tell you why. There's just not going to be any more." And the reporter was very interested because he saw some amazing things. He saw things shooting across the sky in a second and then back to its original location. He saw laser beam lights being shot across the sky. And his camera reporter was so afraid that she refused to go back to the site.
You know what? That's where we have to end it, with that cliffhanger, and save it for another day. Margie Kay, please tell our listeners where they can find more of the stuff you work on.
Well, our MUFON site is MissouriMUFON.org. My site for NX News is unxnews.com. unxnews.com.
You can find us on Twitter, where we are known as the Paracast, so look for the Paracast on Twitter. We also have 2 official Paracast fan clubs on Facebook. Now, ideally, we'd like to make them one, but Facebook has told us if you do that, you have to kill the contents of the other. So just pick one or both and enjoy it. You can also find Gene Steinberg on Facebook. He's the guy with the plaid shirt. If that's what he's wearing, he's probably me. If he's wearing a suit, it's a fake photo. I don't want to get into that. We also have a second radio show, Chris and I. It's called After the Paracast. And After the Paracast can be anything. It can be post-game conversation. It could be special interviews. It could be something entirely different. We'll leave the topics open-ended until shortly before the show is done. It's from 25 to 35 minutes ad-free. After the Paracast, we also offer on the Paracast Plus the ad-free version of this show. Make a note of that, people reviewing the Paracast for iTunes and YouTube. There is an ad-free version. We take out 41 minutes of network ads. We give you better quality audio so you can hear Margie Kay, for example, with a higher resolution, so you get every tone just perfectly. My voice never changes. That's how it is. We're also giving away a free book Stalking the Tricksters from Chris O'Brien, and Chris tells me that the time allotted to give away this free book is at a minimum. He's going to change that policy because he's losing royalties by donating the ebook version of the book. To find out more, go to plus.theparacast.com, plus.theparacast.com. It's been a fascinating episode. I'm really glad to meet you, Margie Kay. I know we don't agree on everything, but I'm happy to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's been lots of fun. Thank you.
The Paracast, featuring Gene Steinberg and Christopher O'Brien, is a copyrighted presentation of Making the Impossible, Incorporated. Tune in next week for a new adventure in The Paracast.